Wow, here we are again.
Here we are again. How you doing?
I'm good. How you been? Give me some.
Woo!
Choo.
Welcome back to the Weekly Comet.
We be here doing it.
It has been a crazy news week in the world of music. Adele has spent 16 non-consecutive weeks at #1 on the top of the Billboard charts, which sets a massive record. I mean, this British songbird is completely unstoppable. Plus, you know, she had throat surgery, her voice is back in shape. And for the Queen of Heartbreak, it also looks like she has a new hot boyfriend that she's been spending a lot of time with. So congratulations to Adele.
Who's the hot boyfriend? I'm going to get that memo. Who is that? Does anybody know?
He runs like a green energy nonprofit.
Oh, he's not a celebrity kind of guy.
No, she's not going celeb.
Got you.
Also interesting, which I'm sure all you guys have been following, is the Stop Online Piracy Act.
Better known as SOPA?
Affectionately called SOPA. It's gotten insane with this. Literally, Google went black, Wikipedia went black, all these major websites were like, yeah, you want to stop us? We're just not going to give you content anymore. Google actually had 7 million people in one day sign a petition with consumers opposing the bill, which has caused a bunch of the politicians to cut back and pull their names off of this legislation. So it looks like it's dead in the water.
Yeah, when you have the guys who actually introduced the legislation cutting it off.
Yeah, you don't want Google
and they're going to launch it. They're about to launch a huge ad campaign, which I think started today.
Yep.
So it's interesting, the power of the internet fighting back. It's very, very interesting.
It's the people fighting back.
The friggin' people, man.
It's the people.
You can't bet against the people.
Do not bet against the people,
no matter what you do.
ever.
Speaking of people, the Grammy show's coming up. Big show, really big show this year. You'll have stuff like, you know, the great Grammy moments are always what we try to do, and Rihanna with Coldplay, Jason Aldean and Kelly Clarkson. Foo Fighters are going to do a really interesting thing, which I'm not at liberty to discuss, but you're going to see some really stuff from them. Other great acts like Bruno Mars, Nicki Minaj, Taylor Swift have been tapped to perform during the 54th Annual Grammy Awards. And we'll have the inside scoop on that and keep you posted. There's a lot of really interesting segments, a lot of big artists that are tapped that we can't really talk about yet, but if you keep it close to the Weekly Comet and also go to the Comet site every day. What's that site number? You want to tell people what that is? Why don't you tell people what that is?
Thecomet.com.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
Every day you'll get updates on what's going on Grammy-wise, and February 12th, Sunday, CBS.
That's right.
Big shoe. Really big shoe.
This was also the first time Jason Aldean and Nicki Minaj will ever be performing on the Grammy
performing together?
telecast. I don't know. You know that.
That's a train wreck. I think that's
that
a little much.
That would be too much.
But you never know on that program.
I want to get that visual out of my head.
Tune in. February 12th. You'll find out. And we'll probably have some Grammy guests. We'll try to have some Grammy people talking about the show.
You know, one of the things that Jonathan and I are super excited about on the Weekly Comet is live music. And this is what we bring to you every week. And today we are incredibly proud to have, you know, legendary British rock, punk, electro musician Barry Adamson with us. He's played with The Birthday Party, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Iggy Pop, Depeche Mode, Way Too Many to Count. He also worked on the soundtrack for David Lynch's Lost Highway, one of my favorite soundtracks and films. Of course, he's also incredibly well known for his solo work, his new album,
and here it is,
I Will Set You Free.
You just happen to have a copy right here.
Yeah, I just happen to have a copy. His new album, I Will Set You Free, is truly magical. The first single is Destination. Take a look at the video.
took her hand, foreign land, just you loving me. I got to see the seven seas, the voodoo queen. I see your pain, the throbbing vein will never let me be. But I have to say, I haven't laid in love and wait for days. Just a nation on a one-way street. Separation with everyone we meet. When I took the lid off the pizza pie, I lose control, and then I reached the side. There was a time when I could love her less ago. I take a call, and then I take a ride. And I wanna live on the easy side. I sold my soul and bought it back online. There was a time when I could love a Tesla girl. I take a call, and then I take her mind.
Please welcome Barry Adamson to the Weekly Comet stage. Woo!
Ooh, the storm it came, but it nearly only broke me for a while. Ooh, I heard my name and it took me and it shook me like a child. The sun and the sea, my love endlessly. Bring me your eyes, your plastic little lies, and I will set you free. Ooh, I grew my hair and I saw my little brothers burn with rage. Ooh, I killed the bear and I ate up all the people in my cage. The sun and the sea, my love endlessly. Bring me your dreams, you don't know what it means, and I will set you free. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now I glide unseen, my kingdom for a cinema screen. Bring me your eyes, your plastic little lies, and I will set you free. Because the sun and the sea, my love endlessly. Bring me your eyes, your plastic little lies, and I will set you free. Is what she said to me.
Let's go one more, huh?
Yeah,
What do you think?
let's
One more,
do it.
Barry? Do it.
called The Power of Suggestion. Wake up the lazy eye. How could you ever see who's sliding in from the frozen exterior? My eyes to fingertips, made warm by her sweet lips. She whispers something that you'll never hear. It's the same old break of day, with my world in disarray, and the stupid things they say. Give me nothing but ales of your goddamn circus, a goddamn bore. Everything I say has been said before. Done my time, but you know I'll do some more. Oh yeah. My friends don't bother me, don't even call at all. They're busy whistling Dixie and cussing my name. And my house is burning down, but then she comes around and quells the fire and starts it ablaze again. It's the same old break of day, with my world in disarray, and the stupid things they say are the things that I portray. It's the same old break of day, with my world in disarray, and the stupid things they say. Give me nothing but ales of your goddamn circus, a goddamn bore. Tell them all to leave by the service door. I've done my time and you know I'll do no more, no more. Doing each other's heads in through the power of suggestion. I will be doing each other's heads in, yeah. Can you feel the cackle of tension? That's the power of suggestion. And we'll be doing each other's heads in, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Barry, come on over. Come sit with us a little bit.
Okay, we're going to the chat room. Do you guys have any questions for Barry? Welcome, everybody who's watching us out there.
That's great, man.
In the interwebs.
Thank you. Grab a seat right over here.
Congratulations. Have a seat. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. You take the guitar?
That's fine.
No, you can take
the
guitar. It's his baby.
I like it. So welcome back to LA.
Thank you. It's nice to be
When was
here.
the last time you've been here?
Quite a while ago, actually. I was doing some film things. I've never performed here.
Ever?
In my solo
So the Hotel Cafe last night was the first?
Yeah, because
Really?
I used to be in a magazine, and it came with the bad seed, so we'd come here regularly and play shows. But then I kind of drifted off into the film world, and got into sort of like being in the studio a lot, so I didn't really come out. But the work's kind of changed over the years, so now it feels right to do more playing live and more touring and that kind of thing. Is the songwriter things coming out a little bit more than the soundtracky thing.
And you did some David Lynch, right? You had some David Lynch in the universe? Talk about that experience, because that had to be, he's an incredible guy.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was it's very rarely you get to sort of sit in on a masterclass, really.
Yeah.
Of,
Wow.
you're working away, and he's fantastic about sort of giving you feedback on what you're doing and how it's going. It's very relaxing time. Sometimes
I would never think of David Lynch and relaxing.
Well, no, it works that way, because he knows what he's doing. So
Right.
it's sort of it's people who are kind of when you're nervous about trying to get it right and all this sort of stuff, it can create a sort of tense atmosphere. But he's got it down, so he brings it to the table and lets you sort of create the things that he's after anyway. So it's a very good working environment. It was great fun.
And did they reach out to you, or how did you end up getting with him?
It's a really strange story, because I'd made some albums that were sort of like soundtracks.
Yeah,
without
you did the
films,
noir with
as
the
it
noir
were.
one,
yeah,
right?
kind of noir. There's an album called Moss Side Story.
Right.
That's right.
And a really bizarre set of circumstances happened where I had a bad accident, and I had to have a hip joint replaced, and I was sat in a wheelchair in the house, and I was going out of my mind. I thought, what do I do? I thought, I write music, so write some music. And I sat, I thought, right, what do I do? And I thought, do this brassy kind of noir thing. Da, 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 boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it was very different when I listened to it. Because I hadn't heard your stuff in a while. I went back and listened. I was like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Yeah,
what was he taking on that,
you were in
that
the dark
period?
place.
So what was weird was that day the phone goes and picked up the phone. Hi, Barry, it's David Lynch. I've been listening to your music for 10 hours straight. And I was like, really? And he goes, I'd like you to do a scene for the film.
Right.
And then the weird thing is he sent the scene, and the piece of music I'd been writing that day just fitted like that. It was really bizarre. And he said, yeah, it's great, come over and do some more. I said, but I'm in a wheelchair. We got some guys who'll help you. It's fine.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was great. It really got me out of the silver cloud in the lining of the cloud out of all that.
It's funny, I went to work 20 years ago in the film business. I left the music business for the film business because the producer I was working with, Dino De Laurentiis, had a deal with David Lynch.
That's right, yeah.
And then as soon as I got there, that was right after Blue Velvet, they never made another David Lynch film. And the company went bankrupt and made all sorts of bad movies.
Right,
but, you know, he, for me, was a bellwether of, like, you see Blue Velvet, and you're like, it's actually my wife's and I first date was a company function of Blue Velvet.
Wow.
But yeah, he's just, there are very few of those guys out there that just really are
it's very maverick stuff, and then it starts a whole kind of wave of people being able to sort of express themselves in another way, but you always come back to the source and go like, it's Lynchian by nature. Things that it's actually a term now, I think.
Well, tell us about how long has it been between solo records? How long has it been since?
This one's I think it's been 3 years maybe, and in between that I made a short film, like a 40-minute film, which was kind of like an album as well, because there's a soundtrack on that. I was kind of going back to the Moss Side Story ethic and being experimental with stuff. And then I just scored a British film. And then
what's that called?
It's called Dreams of a Life. I think it's playing at Sundance. It's getting
really?
great.
I'm heading in. What's the storyline?
Fantastic attention.
Dreams of a Life. Okay.
It's an incredible documentary about a woman who was found in her apartment, and she'd been dead for 3 years.
Wow.
And she's just sat there surrounded by wrapped Christmas presents, and nobody had.
How many years?
3. And she's got all these friends.
Nobody checked in on her?
All these work colleagues. And so the director, Carol Morley, just did a brilliant investigative job and worked sort of that she'd slip right through the middle. Like she did.
Was this a doc or a feature?
It's a documentary feature. But she'd managed to sort of slip right through the middle of everything and disappear almost. And nobody, and this is a woman with sort of 4 sisters, numerous colleagues at work. Well, she managed, it's a very bizarre story. Absolutely fantastic. So that was a pleasure to do.
And what type of score did you do? What instrumentation?
Well, it's got a sort of investigative electronic elements, and then it's got sort of moments of, extreme sadness and beauty and sort of hope for what she was trying to achieve in her life, and then kept getting knocked back all the time. And then she just decided, it looks like she decided to just move away from life,
Wow.
It's
interesting. So yeah, the film stuff is one side of it, but obviously this new stuff, the record, Destination for me when I first heard it, I harkened back to a band I work with called Sisters of Mercy.
Oh
Remember
my
that?
God,
it's just
Sisters of Mercy.
For some reason that tempo and that vibe.
Right.
I mean, so when you're recording now, as obviously the business has changed so much, what do you think about when you're making music?
I think you just go with what's coming. It's like what was great about this album is that I started it and I got a little frustrated. I felt like I was doing a bit of a sort of a Barry Adamson by numbers, and this is the way I do it. And I kind of needed to change everything. So I went off, made the film, came back, and I also had a great experience with Magazine. Got together for a few shows, and it took me right back to being that 18-year-old kid in a rock band.
And when was the last time Magazine had been together before that?
Oh,
Literally that long ago.
Yeah, literally that long ago. So
we don't need to talk about that long ago.
It's bizarre, like to walk into a place like 30 years later and see the same people and everyone's the same. And so that kind of kicked something into me. And so this record, the new one, I Will Set You Free, I guess that's why its title is that, because it just was so fast. And I literally had to sort of chase the tracks down the street and kind of rein them in and go, whoa, because it was all happening really quick. Right. So it only took me like a few months, and I just put the whole thing together at my place and then mixed it down another guy's studio, and that was it, done, boom. So, I don't really think about how what the outcome's going to be. You just got to do it and follow it.
And will you do more touring?
Oh yeah. I'd love to. I think this record, by the nature of it, it feels like something that can really, an audience would like, and hopefully, and it would come across in a live situation very well.
Would you like the acoustic thing, or do you want to get back to a band situation?
The band situation here's the thing, because the band, we did the record like that. Obviously, traveling around and doing little, performances, not full scale.
Yeah.
It helps to talk about things and promote what's going on.
Get on the Weekly Comet.
And it's nice for me as well, because these versions are almost like, I have to kind of create them from the record, and that's good fun as well.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for coming on and performing. And
you're welcome. I'm so happy I'm here. Thank you so much.
I'm just looking at you because you're my co-host.
I like that about you.
That's what I do.
Just one last question. Where do you live? Where are you living now? And tell me about that.
I'm living just outside London, a place called Richmond.
Right.
It's very beautiful down there. There's just this huge deer park, which is the place of sort of sanctuary for a lot of people who live down there, because it's like stepping out of the whole kind of London thing and getting some green.
It's great.
So it's beautiful, yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you came. Pick up the record.
Yeah,
I will set you free.
Everybody, and keep us posted on your touring, and
certainly.
you're welcome back anytime.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I think it's time for On the Road.
Yeah, on the road.
I think it's...
we are literally going on the road.
Well, you are literally,
I am literally going
on the road.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, a couple hours, minutes, whatever it would be, this evening, the Sundance Film Festival kicks off. And the forecast there in Park City, Utah, calls for 6 inches of fresh, snowy powder, which will be good to get on those ski slopes. Not to mention mucho smoozing, hundreds of fantastic sold-out films, and lots of amazing music. And this will be my 15th year in a row. So right now, I'm in the middle of it and getting there, and I'll report back about the great movies that are coming out of it, and all the buzz films. So let's just mention a couple of them. One film is Love, which stars Chicago-born rapper Common, Michael Rainey Jr., Dennis Haysbert, Danny Glover, and Charles Dutton. And a story of an orphaned 11-year-old boy during one tough day in the Baltimore streets who comes to discover the unpleasant truths about the uncle he loves. And this is Common's first starring role. Wow. It was a very low-budget movie shot in Baltimore.
Common's a good actor. I mean,
Common has really
he's good.
become amazing, and I think this is, he did this movie for, not a lot of money to get to that place.
Right.
Of, he's been in a lot of great roles, but this is a great film, and we'll have the director on in the future. So some of the other big high-profile films, I don't know if you saw the story in the LA Times this morning, but all the top films in competition have no distributors. So this is the first time that's ever happened. So film buyers will have their pick, and it should be a rampant festival of trying to get deals. A couple things that are happening. Julie Delpy's 2 Days in New York, Spike Lee's Red Hook Summer, and Stephen Frear's Lay the Favorite with Bruce Willis are a few of the higher profile films.
With no distribution right now?
No distribution.
Wow.
So, the independent film world, for all the tightness of money out there, they're still making movies like crazy. Sundance, once again, had a record number of submissions.
Right.
It's still an incredibly vibrant place for films. But also, music-wise, in the last number of years, it's become quite the hotbed. A couple things that I'm looking forward to. Interscope has a new 18-year-old singing, songwriter, rapping sensation named Luke Christopher, who's a little bit of John Legend, a little bit of B.O.B.
He's got a good vibe.
He does a bunch of songs in this movie, Christmas in Compton, which will come out next year. And our buddies, it's a funny one. You're gonna love promos on that one. Our buddies Mind the Gap that we had on the Weekly Comet will be performing also, and the ASCAP Cafe, which is probably the premier venue put on by our friend Loretta, has amazing artists every year, and this year's no different. People like David Gray, Ingrid Michaelson, All American Rejects, Flying Lotus, Natasha Bedingfield, and Josh Kelly. And a little question for you: who's Josh Kelly married to?
Josh Kelly is married to Katherine Hagel.
That's what they call.
I did a private show with him,
you did?
and
did she show up?
Yeah, of course she did.
Where's the invite?
And you were invited. You were to town. And actually, he just debuted his new video in honor of his daughter, and Catherine's in it, and you can go check it out at the Comet.
Catherine's daughter also?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a good wife choice, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah. In case the music thing doesn't work out, you got that to fall back on.
You can see the video at thecomet.com.
Oh, is that where you go?
Yeah, that's where you go.
It's a good site, thatcomet.com.
It's a drinking game, actually. How many times I say it.
We talked about that. And if that's not enough, our old friend Tommy Lee will be spinning at Harry O's on the 22nd in Park City with Deadmau5. And you've had a little dead mouse in your life, huh?
Yes, I've had some dead mouse in my life. He actually rocked my world during the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo party. Pretty phenomenal. If he ever comes to your town, wherever you are in the world, you have to go see him.
So how would you, I mean, the whole techno thing is such a boom business, one of the biggest businesses out there right now, but how do you feel it's stimulating live to be there as far as what it gives you?
The experience is totally different, especially with a DJ like dead mouse that just continuously just keeps a vibe going and is continuously spinning. It's really a communal...
You don't need to be on drugs?
Well, no, you don't need to be on drugs, but he keeps the vibe going. Unlike a band that kind of stops and starts.
It's a constant flow.
It's a constant flow, and you're kind of in the rhythm that he brings you into with the music.
And does your arm get tired from all the fist bumping?
Never.
No.
Never.
You got good forearm muscles.
Hell yeah.
That's that yoga thing you've been doing.
It's that yoga thing I do.
That yoga thing's pretty awesome.
One of the really great Sundance documentaries that I'm super excited about is West of Memphis, which is directed by Academy Award nominee Amy Berg and produced by Academy Award winner Peter Jackson, who I know you guys all know. The film is about, the tale of the murder of 3 young boys almost 20 years ago who were then falsely accused when they were teens and went to jail because they were forced to confess because one of the teens was mentally slow. This has been like a huge issue for musicians. They've had so much support. The film is interesting to us for 2 reasons. Because of so many musician support, one of them, obviously, Eddie Vedder has been really, really vocal about freeing these 3 people.
As a matter of fact, his song "Satellite" on his last record, the ukulele record, which is nominated for a Grammy, is written for Damien, who's the main guy in the West Memphis 3.
Which it's just been phenomenal to watch, like musicians like Eddie and Henry Rollins has been really vocal. Natalie Maines has gone to the court hearings. Johnny Depp actually has also really participated. All of these people were interviewed for the film. They all participated in a freedom concert rally that helped really put pressure on the state of Arkansas to let the West Memphis 3 out of jail, which they finally were let out in August of 2011 after 19 years in prison. I mean, how can you imagine being falsely imprisoned for 19 years? Let's take a look at the trailer and give you guys a feel for it.
Nothing ever happens in West Memphis, Arkansas.
We've had 3 children missing since last night.
3 young boys murdered in cold blood.
It appeared that they had been sexually mutilated.
Is it your opinion that these crimes were motivated by occult beliefs?
Yes.
Arrested at 2:44 p.m., charged with 3 counts of capital murder.
It was like a nuclear bomb going off in the courtroom.
Life imprisonment without parole. Death by lethal injection.
And the terror of mortal men look favorably on my sacrifice.
I ain't done nothing wrong.
A case with a confession would be easier as opposed to one without direct evidence.
I read the confession on the front page just like everybody else did.
Jesse's borderline mentally retarded.
The statement was put in his mouth by the police.
They beat up all 3 of them.
And then they took their clothes off. Then they tied them.
Then they tied them up.
This case is nothing out of the ordinary. You're dealing with 3 kids, bottom of the barrel, poor white trash.
Here's the state of Arkansas refusing to let the truth shine on this case.
My role when I was brought in was primarily to analyze the case, to see, does it really fit the 3 people they have in prison?
They are seeking merely the opportunity to have the fair trial they have never had.
And the reason I'm hesitating, I'm trying to think if that's a question that I should be answering.
I said, just between me and you, did you do it? And he said yes, and he went into detail. Jason told me how he dismembered the kid.
Did Damien invite you to some meeting?
A cult, satanic meeting. I was just a big liar, and I really was.
I
I was doing a lot of LSD. I remember not knowing why I was doing what I was doing.
This case is outrageous.
Feeling funny in my mind, Lord.
You're dealing with a horrendous crime. There's savage injuries. It affects people and it warps their judgment.
Feeling funny in my mind.
There's careers at stake, there's promotions at stake, there's agendas.
I'm walking kind of.
DNA testing has been done. There was powerful evidence that points towards another suspect.
The focus is always on the family, so that you start from there and you work your way out.
He didn't voluntarily give us this DNA. We waited in the living room while he was in the bathroom, and that's when I took the cigarette butts out of the ashtray.
It's not just new scientific evidence, it's new evidence.
I'd give my life to know the fucking truth.
Miss Kelly's confession wasn't supposed to be injected into the second trial at all, but it was.
There's nothing more poisonous than having a confession in a jury room. If that allegation is borne out, they have to throw this case out.
Burnett was wrong in the decisions that he made.
Well, I had to fool with it for 18 years.
No one wants to admit that they made a mistake.
We don't believe the people of Arkansas are going to be satisfied until there is a new trial.
The option to reopen the case was presented to him, and he went, no. We found them guilty. We're done.
We got 17 years invested in sticking to this story, and that makes it even harder.
This is going to be a happy ending. There's just got to be a happy ending to this.
There are a lot of people in prison because of this. Not only is the state getting away with it, but the person who killed those 3 kids is still out there walking on the street.
That clip featured music by Eddie Vedder and G. Love, and the film was music supervised by our very own co-host, Jonathan McHugh. Congratulations. I mean, this film looks absolutely extraordinary. How did you get involved with the film? I mean, obviously, I know when you choose film projects, you usually choose stuff that really resonates with you. Like, tell us how you got involved with it.
It's funny. Well, sometimes, you know, you choose things, sometimes they chose you. In this case, I happened to, the director is a woman named Amy Berg, who I've known for years, literally through my son. My son and her son were friends for years, and then we started working together on a couple other things, trying to develop a project, Janis Joplin documentary, which we're still working on. And she told me about it, and I had known about the case, and I always was fascinated because of, you know, why I'd heard about it was not through the news media necessarily, but through the musicians who became involved with it. And so much like I heard about Leonard Peltier from Rage Against the Machine, you know, that the famous cop killer thing, that, you know, you hear about things through musicians when they take up causes. And it's fascinating to me that the power of celebrity doesn't always have to be used to sell vodka or, you know, a reality show. That, you know, guys like Eddie Vedder and Johnny Depp, who are very low-key guys in their lives, where Henry Rollins or, you know, Dixie Chicks have had their fair share of controversy they don't really need anymore. But to back a couple of, you know, white trash kids, as it says, who murdered in cold blood 3 little kids is not necessarily a cause you'd want to get behind unless you fully realize that, well, what really convicted these guys? You know, how did they get put in jail? And so again, it's not necessarily the happiest music medium in the world. And there was, as we talked about, there was that Freedom concert in Arkansas, which really helped put a lot of pressure on the state of Arkansas, which, and we'll try to have Amy Berg on at some point about the movie. But, you know, they were basically put in a situation where they had to let these guys out of jail.
Now, you got Nick Cave to do the score, right?
Right, so Amy had worked with Nick.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, Amy had worked, what's funny, because it's a Nick
all,
Cave themed show with Barry
we'll have to
here.
Get Nick Cave on so he can...
as one of the bad seeds, but Nick and Warren Ellis is a big scoring partner of his. Amy had reached out to try to get him, and through a friend of mine at Gerard, he was able to reconnect and put them together and just kind of work on the timing, because Nick's got a very busy schedule. He's writing movies, he's scoring movies, he's touring with the, you know, with a number of different groups, and so his music is obviously the resonance of it, the power of it really fit this movie, the darkness of it. Yeah. So it's a pretty powerful piece all the way around.
Was it hard to get all the licenses and deal with all that, or were all the musicians basically like, yes, we want to be involved?
Well, it's interesting. Eddie Vedder was just whatever you need, you know. So it's like Sony, who owns his masters, was like, well, if Eddie wants to do it, we'll do it. Normally, it's like you got to write us a big check.
Yeah, exactly.
But because of the power of Eddie, and you know, and Eddie also covers in that Freedom concert. They cover, him and Natalie do a version of Bob Dylan, Times They Are Changing. And so Bob's manager was incredibly helpful because, you know, it's the power of Eddie, right? So
it is the power of Eddie.
And you know, Dylan's, you know, Dylan and his manager are guys that just, you know, for the right causes, it makes sense. It's not necessarily all about the money. You know, the music business is about the money, except when it's about the right causes and the right subject, and then then the money's not irrelevant. You know, it's like, yeah, give us $500 for administration or whatever it is, you know, and things just happen. It's pretty genius. So the idea is now is when the film seeks distribution, because the film is about justice, and the idea is that go out to a bunch of artists who want to do music, a song about justice, and what justice means to them, and what themes in the movie. So we're going to send the movie to a number of artists and see who wants to contribute music to, you know, kind of a companion piece, if you will, you know, digital soundtrack.
Now, weren't Amy and Peter just in New Zealand doing post?
Yeah,
I mean, have you seen the final cut?
I have not seen the final cut. I mean, this is the classic global world we live in. You know, you have Nick Cave, I think, in like Bath, England, or some seaside town, maybe Brighton, England. He's scoring the movie with Warren. We're in LA, working on putting all the pieces together, and down in Wellington, New Zealand, at Peter Jackson's studios Wingnut, is Amy Berg and Peter and Fran, and they're editing and cutting the movie together. So it's a true global thing, and everybody gets rushed, and you take the print, and you jump on a plane to Sundance. Otherwise, Amy would have been here today with us.
Right. Well, we'll have to get her on.
Absolutely.
What's the coolest musical moment in the film for you?
Well, again, I haven't seen the final cut,
but that you might think, or like
I
one
just
of the
think that the
performances
Freedom concert is so
was...
powerful. It didn't end up making the movie, but the Patty, they close the show with People Have the Power, which I always wanted to close the movie, but Amy had another idea of another Freedom song that came up. But you know, that song is just, it sums up for me, you know, what it is, and what we talked about with SOPA, you know, the internet. You know, people have the power to create change, and, you know, coming off Martin Luther King Day, you know, it's like one person, two people, a number of people can make a difference, and musicians, I think, have that really chance to speak out and create something great.
Well, everybody, this is a film that you guys definitely need to see. It's still extraordinary just to think about being in prison for 19 years.
Yeah, there's one thing I will say about that. 2 out of 3 guys were let out of prison. The third one was not let out of prison because he would not admit guilt, because
rocket science.
They would not. The way the state of Arkansas did it, if they didn't admit guilt, they could be sued for the 19 years of back wages they lost or whatever it is they do. So as part of them getting out, they had to basically say, yeah, we're basically guilty, but we're getting out. So the other guy who wants to be a lawyer refused to admit guilt.
You're giving away the movie.
Yeah, that's all right.
No.
It's in the news. It's in the news.
One of the cool things that we're adding to the Weekly Comet is a special tastemaker segment. And who's going to be coming in every week to do that for us is KCRW DJ and music super extraordinaire, Jason Kramer. And one of his first picks that we're going to feature this week is Howler, which John and I are really excited about. Check out the video. It's called Back of Your Neck. Ooh, love this band.
Yeah, nice one, Jay.
Love this band.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Kramer. Thanks for coming out, buddy.
Welcome in the house.
So tell us about Howler. How'd you find them?
Howler. These guys are great. These guys are from Minneapolis. I just recently found them. You know, just scouring through the blogs all the time. Young band, great power chords, riffs, and all this. But what I love about them is angst. And I think angst is
You're big on angst, huh?
Well, yeah, you know, the kids today, they're
angsty.
They're not so angsty. And that's what we need. We need to get back to that whole punk rock thing. And especially with the world economy and everything, I think it's important for kids to get really back, especially at that age. The lead singer, 19 years old, young kid. You know, so, you know, they got a brand new album out that's coming out on Rough Trade Records, and it's just amazing.
And where are they from?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Nice. And
We'll have to have them come in when they're in town.
Yeah, they're actually going to be here in March.
Oh, fantastic!
They're gonna be
Yeah,
in
well,
Los Angeles
Weekly
tomorrow.
Comet. Come on down, kids. So tell us about yourself. So you've been at KCRW spinning for how long now?
13 years.
Only 13 years?
Only 13 years.
But you're the best kept secret. What was your shift?
I used to be on from, was it 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. every Saturday night.
That's why I didn't hear you that much.
I know,
Okay.
right?
I did.
You were up there?
Yeah.
Night owl.
Yeah, well, why are you up that late?
But you recently got...
What's the real story?
You recently got the upgrade, though.
Got the upgrade. I am on from 10 to midnight. I started working in radio here in Los Angeles in 1992, and my first gig was at KLOS, where I kind of answered phones for Uncle Joe Benson at the time.
Wow.
And Al Ramirez was the other guy, too. And I would just sit back and pick their brain and just listen to how they are and what is it all about them. You know, they used to tell me at times where they just had records sprawled out across the whole studio, you know.
There's probably other things sprawled out.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I ain't got to say about that, but yes.
And we can talk about that on the internet.
That's right, they're freaking
But I think, you know, doing radio is really exciting. It's a free expression, especially doing a KCRW, because we create our own playlists, we create the vision. And I think for me, most important is guys like Barry. I love his music, and I like to teach and give people the opportunity to listen to things that they may have never have heard before. Especially with kids, you know, the youth of today, because when you have the computer, they don't, all the information's there, but there's no reason for them to actually search for anything. So this way, at least radio being romantic, and it's still romantic to me.
But you're the curator.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
in a way.
curating it. You know,
Stations, yeah, it's a fantastic station.
And you champion amazing artists and bring them to light.
Forth, I hope so. Yeah.
How did you first meet Barry?
Funny story. I just recently started, I've been a huge fan of his for years when he did his solo work, and even from when he did Magazine and some of the stuff being on Buzzcocks and that, and as a bass player. And during every song, I tweet what I'm playing and give like a little information about what the song's all about.
What's your Twitter handle?
KCRW Kramer.
Okay, everybody, KCRW Kramer.
So what I did was I actually tweeted his song and maybe his Facebook page and all that, and I got a tweet back from him. And we kind of met through Twitter for all things.
Awesome.
And he told me that was actually his first tweet.
Ever.
It was back to me. And they had told him he needs to get on Twitter. And he says, I don't know about this. So he actually did it, and
look at it. He's booked on the Weekly Comet.
And he's booked.
Got him at Hotel Cafe last night. And
yeah, how was the show?
It's absolutely great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing was loud. Clapter was great. So I had a great time with that.
We are super excited to have you on with us every week.
Oh, well, thank you.
So yeah, Jason will be here bringing us the tastiest of the tasty new stuff, and you know, maybe we'll have other KCRW jocks from time to time. There's a lot of the crossover between some of the KCRW jocks and music supervising. A lot of them do some great work on. Jason does a lot of commercials, and yeah, so there's stuff we'll do together with them. It's gonna be great.
Bring you brand new acts and new acts.
Yeah, we'll do some performances. We'll have some fun. Anybody has ideas about bands, hit up Jason and you know, hit us up at emPOWERme.tv. And that's about it for today,
that's
right?
It for today. And also thank you so much for introducing us to Barry.
Yes, that was wonderful.
I mean, that was truly like amazing. Cool. Amazing.
I gotta say one thing. This is funny, but I went into the restroom here beforehand. You guys know this. There's a little sign under there that says, "Hey boys, please put down again."
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
My wife says this to me every time I go to the bathroom. Come on, man. That's just like
boy power already.
No,
can the girls maybe put it up?
We have two
Will that be okay?
female
no, I never. You know what?
That's a
great one because I've never said to my wife when she says put it down all the time that she should put it up for me. I like where you're going with that.
Equal rights of peeing, I guess.
I like this guy.
What it is, you know?
We're going to be seeing more of this guy.
emPOWERme.tv is run by some badass women, and we decide what
the
happens in
guy
the toilet.
for being able the girls to
Fist
pull
bump.
up the thing. There we go.
Fist bump.
Right.
Weekly Comet. Thanks for coming
All
out.
right, everybody. On that note, come back February 2nd, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We will see you then. Adios.
Thank you, guys.